Welcome to Hannity. Tonight, the investigation continues into whether or not the nation's top law enforcement officer lied under oath while testifying before members of Congress. Now, the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, Bob Goodlight, has sent a scathing letter to Eric Holder expressing, quote, great concern over the AG's recent testimony. The 4-page document calls for Holder to answer a series of questions regarding his involvement in the Justice Department's probe of Fox News correspondent James Rosen. Now, remember, it was exactly 2 weeks ago when the Attorney General explicitly denied having any knowledge of any efforts to secretly spy on reporters. Now, what you're about to see is the portion of Holder's testimony that is now very much under the microscope of congressional investigators.
With regard to the potential prosecution of the press for the disclosure of material, that is not something that I've ever been involved in, heard of, or would think would be a wise policy.
All right, not only was he involved in spying on Fox News, he clearly thought it was a wise policy because he, Eric Holder, he was the guy that signed the subpoena authorizing it. Now, that means what you just witnessed was the United States Attorney General lying while under oath before Congress. Now, later tonight, 2 members of the House Judiciary Committee who attended the hearing in question will join me live with the very latest on their investigation into this very serious matter. But first, earlier today, White House Press Secretary Jay Carney was asked about Eric Holder's misleading comments, and let's just say, well, things got a bit heated. Let's take a look.
We know he was involved in it at the very least. That's the question. Was he not telling the truth on that point? He was involved in it.
Involved in what?
He signed off on the search warrant.
Maybe he was an unindicted.
Are you not involved after signing off on a search warrant?
Again, I would refer you to the Justice Department. But you guys are conflating, you know, the subpoena with prosecution, and I think that it is. Again, I would just point you to what the Attorney General said.
So it is a technical accuracy you're holding on to.
I'm not. I'm saying that based on what I've seen in published reports and what the Attorney General said, I don't see the conflict.
All right, now, Jay Carney probably did not see the conflict the last time the Attorney General was also caught lying under oath either. Now, do you remember this exchange between Holder and House Oversight Committee Chairman Darrell Issa? This is back in 2011.
When did you first know about the program, officially, I believe, called Fast and Furious? To the best of your knowledge, what date?
I'm not sure the exact date, but I probably heard about Fast and Furious for the first time over the last few weeks.
All right, that, too, was later discovered to have been a lie. Now, why? Because Justice Department documents prove that Eric Holder was personally briefed about Operation Fast and Furious as early as July 5th, 2010. Now, the question that remains is, will the embattled Attorney General be able to survive this latest scandal, or is his time as America's top cop about to come to an end? Joining me now with reaction, Fox News contributor Michelle Malkin and Fox News political analyst Juan Williams. Juan, when he said, this is not something I've ever been involved in, heard of, or would ever think would be a wise policy, and then he signs the subpoena, is that a lie?
He didn't sign the subpoena. He signed an affidavit that was sent to a judge who signed the subpoena.
Right, exactly.
But let me just say, what you got here...
You get my point. Yeah.
No, I got your point. I understood you. But I think the larger point is this, that when Eric Holder was testifying, he was testifying about prosecuting reporters for publishing information that was regarded as a national security leak. And that's not, he was not involved with that. He was involved in, and I think wrongly so, let me just be clear, wrongly so, in saying that, yes, James Rosen, a lifelong reporter for a legitimate news organization, could be considered potentially a co-conspirator with the man who was breaking the law by giving away this information from the State Department.
If that's true, and you're saying he was not misleading Congress, which would be a violation of law, then the only other option would be that he intended to prosecute Rosen, and if he did that, hang on a second, that would mean that he would have lied to the judge to get the sweeping search warrant.
No. He listed Rosen as a co-conspirator, potentially someone who aided and abetted Stephen Kim, who I think was the target.
That's a crime.
But he did that so that he could try to determine whether or not Rosen, who had used the aliases and the secret email accounts, was in fact up to anything. That's, I think, what's going on here is that the prosecutors were in a bubble, and that's why they made this terrible mistake.
Well, I think it's beyond a terrible mistake. I want to get Michelle Malkin's take on this. Michelle.
Of course it is. It's chilling, it's disturbing, and of course Eric Holder just lied there. I think I am willing to pay for a chiropractor for Juan because the water buckets that he is carrying for the White House are very heavy. I mean, I can't even get worked up enough to have my blood pressure rise. I can't be mad at you anymore, Juan. I feel
Michelle, I'm
pity.
disappointed.
Look. I'll tell you what disappoints me, that anybody would be surprised or shocked at the outcome of this thoroughly corrupt Justice Department led by Eric Holder, who we have known for decades has a history of obstruction, a history of politicizing the rule of law and subverting equal treatment under the law and our Constitution to his political ends. We knew it during the nomination process. I have always been livid that there were 19 Senate Republicans who ignored the long, sordid history of corruptocracy that Eric Holder was responsible for when he was a Clinton Justice Department official. And Sean has talked numerous times. We have who have been watching, who have been doing our jobs as watchdogs, because guess what? You don't have to be a credentialed mainstream journalist to do journalism. And whether it was the Rich pardon, whether it was FALN, all of the sordid conduct of this Attorney General during the New Black Panther Party voting rights subversion case, through Fast and Furious, and now, of course, with the handling of these dumpster diving episodes and campaigns against James Rosen and the Associated Press.
Let me advance the ball.
How can you possibly defend it, Juan? How?
Michelle, let me just say, you have gone so far afield here. It's clear. Look, you're building a conspiracy theory. I'm just going to say, go for it if you think that there's some basis for it. There is no fact here. What we saw from Sean was facts. Sean says, did this guy lie to the Congress? And I think Sean has a point. And I said, Sean, I don't think he did. Here's why. But I'm just saying to you, I understand, given what you've just said, that this is about politics. This is not about anything to do with Eric Holder violating James Rosen's rights. It's about a political agenda, a political ideological demonization of Holder.
Juan,
you want to get Holder.
Let me ask you this. He went and testified before the House Judiciary Committee about Fast and Furious back in 2011, not that long ago. And he said, I just found out about it over the past few weeks. Then we found the documents that showed that he knew at least 10 months before the hearing. It proved that he was not telling the truth, and then he had to go back after he was caught and say that he gave inaccurate information. Now, why go ahead.
No, all that came out, Sean, was that there was some letter or something that was sent to him pro forma that, you could say, did he read it, didn't he read it, whatever. Okay, so we don't know.
Documents, signatures.
It's possible that what you're saying is true, but it's not as if it had the high profile at that point.
All right, Michelle.
It's rancid. The stench from the top of the heap of the White House and the Justice Department is so toxic that 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue and the Justice Department should be declared Superfund toxic cleanup sites. And the fact that you can't smell it, Juan, indicates to me that you need an olfactory specialist, because all of America can smell it now.
Well, I worry about your blood pressure at this point, so calm down, because I think if there was a scandal of that magnitude, it wouldn't be just you. Okay.
Wake up.
I would argue things are getting pretty tough right now for the Attorney General. I'm not sure he survives, and